Get ready to learn everything you need to know before leasing a car. Because the goal of my video is to equip you guys with enough knowledge so that you don't get taken advantage of. So let's jump right in. For starters, you need to make sure you're leasing the right car. And the right car isn't necessarily about the car that you want, but more about the car that's going to have the best residual value. And the residual value is how much the car is going to be worth at the end of that lease. So you want that amount to be as high as possible. And the reason is because your lease payment is dependent upon the depreciation of that car. So the higher the residual value, the lower the depreciation. So here's an example of how that works. So let's say the car you want is $30,000. And at the end of a 3-year lease, it's expected that car be worth $20,000. That $20,000 represents the residual value of the car, and the $10,000 represents the depreciation. So your lease payment is designed to pay off that $10,000 of depreciation over that 3-year period. So that's exactly how leasing works. So now let's say you have another car worth $30,000 also, but its residual value after 3 years is expected to be $25,000. So because the residual value is higher, your lease would only be based off paying off that $5,000 of depreciation over that 5-year period. So of course, this would lead to a smaller monthly payment. And this is exactly why you want to lease a car that has a higher residual value. So if the lease-end residual value of the car is less than 50% of the MSRP, it's usually not a good deal. And that just means the car's value will be less than half by the end of that lease. And I'm basing this off of a 36-month lease. Now, an excellent residual value will be somewhere around 55 to 65% of the MSRP. And the MSRP is just the manufacturer's suggested retail price. So here's an example of how different residual values affect your lease payment. So let's say you have a car worth $30,000 and the residual value is 65%. So you just take that $30,000, multiply it times 0.65, and that's $19,500. So that's going to be the residual value. So then you take that $30,000 and subtract the residual value, and that leaves you with $10,500. That is the depreciation. So you take that depreciation amount, $10,500, divided by 36 months because that's the term of the lease, and you get a $292 monthly lease payment. So that's how your payment is calculated. So you can see all you're doing is paying off that $10,500 over that 36 months. Now let's say you have another car worth $30,000, but this one has a 40% residual value. So doing the math, that ends up with a $12,000 residual value at the end of the lease. So you take that $30,000, subtract the residual value, and that's $18,000 of depreciation. Take that $18,000, divide by 36 months, and you have a $500 lease payment. So that's how the depreciation affects the monthly payment you have towards your lease. So you can see the importance of selecting a car that has a higher residual value. And you can find the residual value online. You can go directly to the dealer and they'll give it to you as well. Next, you don't want to sell or trade in your current car to your new leasing company. Now, it's not the end of the world if you do, but them knowing you have a trade-in car, which is considered cash, just gives them the upper hand. Because you have to understand, you're going to be dealing with professional number crunchers here. So you don't want to give them any additional information up front that can be used against you later. I would recommend just going ahead and selling your car to another dealer ahead of time just to be on the safe side. And try to get offers from at least 5 dealers. That way you know you're getting the best deal possible. Now, the next thing I want you to know is that everything is negotiable when it comes to leasing. And even though you're leasing the car, you can still negotiate the actual sales price of that car. And the reason you want to do that is because that starting sales price is the starting point for all other costs. And another thing you can negotiate is the actual term of your lease. Now, the most common term is 36 months, but you can negotiate that to a different term if you like. Just make sure you keep that term to full year periods. So stick to terms like 24, 36, or 48 months. And the reason for that is because let's say you get a lease for 39 months. You're stuck paying that registration for that full year, even though you're only going to have the car 3 months out of that final year. And I see that happen quite often. Another thing you can negotiate is the actual mileage. And this is important because over mileage fees are very excessive. So have an idea of how many miles you typically drive so you don't put yourself in a compromising position. The most common number you'll run across is 12,000 miles per year. Another thing you can negotiate is the money factor. So you have to make sure you pay very close attention to this part. This is a number used by car leases that represents the interest rate. And just like interest rates are very important in everything else you purchase, you have to treat your money factor with the same respect. The money factor will be a number that looks like this, 0.00235. And just by looking at that number, you have no clue if that number is high or low at all. So I'm going to teach you a little trick to convert that weird looking number to a similar type interest rate. Because once you see that number converted over to an interest rate, you'll know right away if it's high or low. So you will need a calculator for this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that money factor and you're going to multiply it times 2,400. And when you do that, you can now see you're being charged somewhere around a 5.64% interest rate. And based on where interest rates are at the time, you'll be able to determine if that's high or low. And I strongly recommend you do this math right in front of the salesperson so at least they have an idea you know what's going on. Because respect goes a very long way, and that may help limit the amount of disrespectful numbers they plan on putting in front of you from that point moving forward. The next thing is you want to get all your quotes with no money down. And that's because when you put money down, it gets harder to tell if you're really getting a good deal or not. And from the start, you want everything to be as clear as possible for you. So another tip you can use to get an idea of whether the numbers look good or not is to get your quote with no money down, 36 months, and 12,000 miles. And make sure they include the taxes and all the fees. And from that, you'll end up with a certain monthly payment amount. Now take that monthly payment amount and divide it by the MSRP. For example, let's say your monthly payment was $600 and the MSRP is $54,000. You take that 600 divided by 54,000 and you'll get 0.01. Then you're going to take that 0.01 and multiply it times 100 and you'll get 1.1%. Now you want that percentage number to fall between 1% and 1.5% to be classified as a good deal. And whatever you do, don't let them manipulate the monthly payment by extending your lease term, because that's another way that they get people. Now I still have some more great tips for you, but if you've received any value from this video so far, please like it, put a happy face in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel. I truly appreciate it. So now we're gonna move over to the warranty scam. This is a tactic done by dealers to increase their profit margin at your expense. So what they'll do is they'll add an extended warranty directly to your lease. And it seems like that makes perfect sense because of course they have to worry about paying out of pocket if something were to ever happen to that car. And I'm not against warranties at all. I think warranties are a great thing to have. But what I am against is the fact that they don't tell you that the extended warranty is already included in your lease. So there's absolutely no point in paying for an additional extended warranty on top of the one you already have. And to make things worse, sometimes the warranties that they add are longer than the actual lease itself. Meaning you have a lease that's 36 months long, they're adding a warranty to it that you don't need, but on top of that, that extra warranty is 48 months long, which of course is more expensive, leading to more profits for that dealer. So that's just something I want you to be aware of. Now the next thing is pretty straightforward, and that's don't put any money down on your lease because it is not required. Now one thing to keep in mind is that putting money down on your lease does not lower your overall cost. And it doesn't save you money over the long run like it would if you had a car loan. Because if you were to start with a down payment and that car got totaled or stolen, you don't get any of that money back. And the exact amount of money you're going to pay for that car lease is already predetermined, so adding extra money up front is absolutely not necessary. And while we're on the topic, make sure you add gap insurance. That's really important, but it also gets overlooked too. Because it used to always be included in car leases, but not so much anymore. All that does is cover the amount of money above what the insurance company would pay out if you got in a car accident. Because without gap insurance, you'll be personally liable for paying out that difference directly to the leasing company. And I'm sure that's the last thing you want to do. The next thing is don't wait to the last minute to start shopping your options when you know your lease is coming to an end. I would say start planning at least 6 to 12 months before your lease is actually over. Because if you wait to the last minute, you can get a bad deal on whatever your plans were with that lease. And the reason you want that extra cushion is because it gives you more time to shop around in case you do want to lease another car. Because you're more likely to get a better deal if you speak to multiple dealers versus just going to the first person you speak to. And because of everything you're learning in this video, plus your own personal experience from leasing, you may build up enough confidence to where you could just shop online for your lease. So you may not even have to go to a dealer at all. But either way, I don't want you to wait till the last minute. Now this tip might be the most important tip of this entire video. And that's if you plan on turning your car in after your lease is over, don't just turn your lease in, hand the keys over and walk away. Because believe it or not, you may have equity in your car. And I know it's not usual to hear about equity in your car, but that's one of the benefits of leasing. Because remember, when that lease started, you were given a contractual residual value. And that states clearly how much the car will be worth at the end of your lease. So at the end of your lease, you can actually purchase that car from the dealer for that exact amount. So here's how you take advantage of that. Now, just because that residual value is what you're allowed to purchase the car for, that doesn't mean that's what the car is actually worth in the open market. Because remember, when you get that lease, that dealer's assuming what the value of that car will be at that time. But guess what? Markets change and so does car value. So before you turn in that lease, always check the Kelley Blue Book value of that car. And if your car's current value is higher than the residual value, you actually sell the car for that current value amount. And when I say sell your car, I'm not talking about driving around with a for sale sign in a window or something like that. I'm talking about selling that car directly back to the dealer and walking away with a check in hand for whatever the difference is. Because otherwise the dealer's just gonna pocket the equity themselves. And unfortunately, that's what happens most of the time because most people don't know these details. So here's exactly what that looks like. So let's use the same example of a car being worth $30,000 with an expected $20,000 residual value. Now over your 36-month lease, you would have paid off that $10,000 of depreciation. So before you turn in your car, you check the Kelley Blue Book value and see if the car is actually worth $23,000. So what you can do is now sell that car directly to the dealer for that $20,000 amount. So technically it would be as if you purchased the car for the $20,000, which are guaranteed, and then immediately sell it to the dealer for the $23,000. So at the end, you'd walk away with a check for $3,000 directly from the dealer. Now that's the plan if you want to turn your car in, but if you plan on buying the car, I have a different plan for you. Do not go back to the dealer that you got your original lease from, because they're going to do their best to add additional fees and do whatever they can to jack up the price on you. So what you want to do instead is call the leasing company and ask for a direct payoff quote. Then what you want to do is get financing from either your bank or your credit union and then use that to pay off the leasing company directly. This is going to save you a lot of headache and unnecessary fees. Now, if you're in a state that requires you go back to that same dealer, the workaround is that you can go to multiple dealers under the same manufacturer. So it doesn't have to be that specific one you got the original lease from. So remember, at the end of your lease, you can either get a new lease, turn the car in, buy the car, or even sell the car. But now, regardless of whatever you do, you will be equipped. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, like the video, put a happy face in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.